Welcome back to Out of Touch, episode number 42 here on a lovely week here in May. April showers bring May flowers. It's been pretty flowery here where I'm from. Dustin Schutte and Mitchell Page with me here as we get rolling on another episode of the podcast. What's going on, guys?
Flowery,
Welcome
John?
in.
Has it been
you know what? It's been flowery enough. I tell you what, let me tell you this. Now that you mention it, and I guess I mentioned it first, but the honeysuckles. The honeysuckles are fantastic. And maybe what I've been smelling in my neck of the woods isn't honeysuckles, but I think they are. I'm not the best when it comes to horticulture, but I think I have a pretty good idea of what honeysuckles smell like.
Do you think that Scotty Scheffler smelled honeysuckles on his way to jail after your city arrested him?
I tell you what, that might have made his experience going from his vehicle to the,
jail,
the jail cell a little more palatable. But man, I tell you what, the city of Louisville does a really good job. It seems like at least once a year at doing something to get themselves in the news nationally for something really stupid.
To be fair, I don't know how you handle that situation from anyone's perspective. Police officer, Scotty Scheffler, security. I don't. What a chaotic scene in the dark, in the rain. Someone just died.
Yeah.
No one knows what's going on. Golfers are not recognizable. The number one golfer in the world could walk down the street. Half the people wouldn't know who he was. Just an absolute recipe for disaster, and disaster it did strike, didn't it?
Can I just say that, like, Scotty Scheffler has to be the most humble human being on planet Earth, because he chose going to jail over being like, my name is Scotty Scheffler. I'm playing right here. Let me go. Like 100%. That, I guarantee he would have been like in the back of the police car for like 20 minutes. They would have confirmed his identity and he could have just went on. But instead he was like, you know what? I'm not going to pull that card. I'm going to go sit in jail for 3 hours.
It's the only time in the history of ever that "do you know who I am" was warranted.
Yes.
You get a lot of frat bros that say, like, "Do you know who my dad is? He's a top attorney at whatever," and it's the worst. The only time in history where a quick, "Hey, guys, do you know who I am?"
Yeah.
And everything would have been gone. But
and the fact that I didn't learn this until later after all of the big stuff had transpired. I didn't realize that Scotty Scheffler was only 27 years old. This dude's only a year older than me. He's younger than both of you.
By a lot. Yeah.
And this guy, I mean, evidently he was raised to just be the utmost respectful human being of all time, because when literally nothing was going this guy's way, and I'm not saying that he handled everything perfectly when it comes to, like, maybe he should have stopped. Honestly, I don't really blame him for anything he did, if I'm being truly honest. It's one of those things where if you put yourself in his shoes, it's hard to imagine doing everything as smoothly as he did.
100%. I don't know how you do it. But what's kind of funny, so we don't have to get too deep in the golf talk. This is pretty golf nerd. But Scotty Scheffler didn't grow up as like a top amateur player. He didn't have a bunch of wins. I mean, obviously now he's the best player on the planet, not even close. But when he was growing up, he had a crazy temper. Like, he was a psycho. So he would be in contention. He would hit a bad shot and he would, like, throw his club in the woods. He had to really hone everything in. And I think that calm, composed. He's said it over and over, like, golf is the fourth most important thing to him now that he's had his newborn. But it is funny when you're a little bit psycho as a youngster, you got to learn pretty quick to put things in perspective if you want to make the kind of jumps that he's made. But we can transition off of that. I just had to give your city a shout out. But yeah, I don't know how anyone was supposed to handle it, but if you've seen the movie, oh dang, now I'm totally spacing. What's the movie with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg? They're cops.
The other guys.
The other guys. Yes. Yeah. If you didn't think about Mark Wahlberg's character shooting Derek Jeter
Yes.
And comparing him with the cop immediately, like forever, he's the guy that arrested Scotty Scheffler when he goes back to the police headquarters. He's going to be do a desk pop. He's going to be shooting his gun inside with a wooden gun in no time.
I saw they moved his arraignment, Scotty Scheffler's. It was supposed to be Tuesday, which is yesterday, if you're listening to this on the day that this comes out. And it's gotten moved to June 3rd. And here's my prediction.
That was some time travel. It took me until just now to do the math on what you were talking about, because we're recording on Monday, and you said it was on Tuesday, but that was yesterday. That was the first time I've really experienced that.
Yeah,
I had to go through, Star Wars warped. I saw the stars going by my ship. I couldn't get there, but now I'm.
Sometimes you have to be hyper aware whenever we're talking about time sensitive things. Sometimes on these,
you did that so fluidly.
It's tough.
That was well done.
Yeah, but all this makes you think that all this is going to get dropped before the actual arraignment happens.
Yeah,
so.
And they've already talked about it. That's kind of where everything's heading. That's what Scotty's lawyer said. I think that's even what the city of Louisville said, that he handled it with grace. There's just chaos, and but we do have to talk about the police report, because it's maybe the funniest report of all time. That the police officer said his pants, valued at $80, were destroyed beyond repair. And I just was thinking about them like doing CPR to the pants, and like they couldn't bring them back. It's destroyed beyond repair. We cannot fix these pants.
Now, I remember that being a talking point within the police report, but I never looked. Was it Scotty's pants or was it the police officer's pants?
The police officer said that Scotty dragged him like a rag doll for like 10 yards, and his pants were destroyed beyond repair, which is a very funny image of Scotty Scheffler just dragging a cop on his legs behind the car. I picture him on the back bumper for some reason, not on the driver's side.
Do you know what popped into my mind? Do you remember that Marshawn Lynch video from when he was at Cal and he just stole?
Oh yes,
he stole the golf cart for the injuries, and he was just driving it around the field. That's kind of like the image I had.
Dude, that is a time you don't see that in college football anymore. We need more of that in college football.
I think I would have been kicked out of the school if I would have done that in college. I think
I guess this could be a really short thing, but what is, Mitchell, the most, and it doesn't have to be with you specifically, but during your time at Indiana, was there ever anything during a game that was just so off the wall that you'll never forget it? And obviously, again, you can't top the stealing the golf cart, but what's the next best thing you ever saw from your teams?
I mean, that's conscious ridiculousness. I can't remember anything that was consciously crazy. Yeah. Xander doing the Conor McGregor walk, I guess.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
But there was thousands of players doing that in college football. Yeah. It just was wild to do it with the coach that we had. But
he did the whole Money Mayweather thing too after his touchdown against Ohio State. That I remember was a big deal.
You can say whatever you want about him. My guy had some swagger. I loved it. He weighed 150 pounds soaking wet, and he just went out there and balled. I was such a big fan, and truly,
we need to get Xander Diamond on the show sometime.
I was actually
really need to talk football.
Randomly.
Maybe somebody to talk to about just anything.
Anything. You think that you like? I don't even know how to say what I'm trying to say, but the way that he thinks about the world is just so much different than the way that I think.
And here's the thing, and I kind of get that vibe, and we'll have to bring him on to get the full experience, but he's somebody, and if I'm incorrect about this, you can tell me. I can see him being a big believer in like simulation theory, or like that just, we don't have any free will, that kind of stuff. It doesn't have to be that specifically, but that style of thinking is kind of what I'm getting at.
He definitely entertains things. But he always has an angle. He's one of those guys that just positions himself to always give himself a chance to win. He's one of the best, like, true leaders, magnetic personalities that I've ever been around. And I don't think that portrayed itself enough in his time at IU. Like when we went through, especially my last year, we went through some rocky up and down throw 5 picks in a game. Defense gives up a zillion points. We score 0 points. Just a lot of up and downs. And the rock for the team was Xander Diamant, and he played like 5 snaps all year. And I think that says a lot about a guy. And now he's doing some awesome things out in Arizona. I was actually messing. Oh, my Wi-Fi. God.
No, it's actually this gives me a chance to bring it up because it's happened a few times. It's honestly not very disruptive, but for those of you who may have noticed something weird with Mitchell's connection, he's got a weird Wi-Fi issue that's about ready to get fixed. But you may notice little pauses and super kind of like skippy jumps. It's not super disruptive, so it's obviously fine. But hopefully this will just be. I think it'll just be a 1-week issue. I would.
Yes,
think.
It's so infuriating. It's been happening for the last couple days, and we've talked about it. I'm a gamer. It only happens, the spikes happen when I'm about to get in a gunfight in Warzone, and I just get obliterated. And it is so annoying. Set myself up for the win. I've got high ground. I'm whatever, move all around. As soon as I start shooting my gun, freeze. And then I'm dead. It's so annoying. But I don't even remember how we got on Xander, but I love that guy.
It's all right. Well, we should work that into the schedule, the old sketch.
I was talking to him today. Oh, that's how it came up. I randomly was talking to him today. He's got this business out in Arizona building like basically additional living spaces in people's backyards that like study room, simulators, like or golf simulators, whatever you want to be. But he's built this business in Arizona. It's actually pretty cool. And I commented on it. I haven't talked to him in like a year, but commented on it today for whatever reason. So that's funny. We're talking about him. Maybe try to get him out and play some golf. He stinks at golf. I could whoop him.
And we'll get into you played in a golf outing today. I'll ask you about that in just a moment. But
that was my
what's going on in Dustin Schuette's world? I feel like he's just hanging out, and I don't mean to neglect him, but he's just kind of chilling out right now.
I am just chilling out. I really don't have anything exciting. When you said Honeysuckle, I used to live above a restaurant called Honeysuckle Breakfast Place. They had great chicken biscuits.
Well, that does sound. That's the perfect name for a breakfast place, by the way.
It's a perfect place or a perfect name for a breakfast place, and also it's in Georgia. It does.
And also your Pacers, and I guess this pertains to Mitchell too, but the freaking Pacers are in the Eastern Conference Finals. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, Dustin and I have already we have a handshake agreement at this moment. After the Pacers beat the Celtics, we're going to a finals game. I don't care how much it is.
Any of them.
I'll sell my house.
Correct.
Yeah.
It may never happen again. Well, with this team, it'll probably happen like 6 times in the next 8 years. But
because we're the best team of all time. But
the chances that if we don't go this year of it never happening again increase dramatically.
Right.
What's crazy about this, and you all would know better than I would, especially Dustin. I feel like usually after runs like this, the most important players on these teams, obviously their value goes up, and it may be harder to keep those guys around. Do you see that being a problem with the Pacers, or do you think they'll be able, and again, if you know contracts and stuff, you would know better than I would. Do you think this team will be able to kind of stick around for a little bit?
I don't know contracts that well, but what I can say that has been like is kind of a saving grace as for this team as opposed to like if you go back to the Miami Heat with Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, those guys were all high dollar guys and they just kind of needed parts and that you could interchange them to go along with those 3 guys. But the Pacers team that's been together for like most of the last 2 years now, they all get, like that's an actual team. Like they all get along. I know Pascal Siakam's the new guy on the block. Jalen Smith is probably going to be gone. Doug McDermott, I think, is on a rental deal. So there's going to be some of those pieces that are gone. But the fact that they get along so well, and I think that they see that the future is bright, I do think now not everybody's probably going to return, but I do think a vast majority of this team will be around for quite some time, which would be awesome because those Pacers with the 90s runs, like Reggie Miller was there forever. Rick Smits, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Mark Jackson. Those guys were there forever. Travis Best. They brought in Jalen freaking Rose.
Yeah.
Which I think I learned this. I think this is correct. I can't remember if it was the I'm not going to remember it for sure now. I think it was the finals team, but it might have been the 1998 Eastern Conference Finals team when they lost to the Bulls. Jalen Rose was the leading scorer on one of those 2 teams and was never an all-star.
Makes no sense.
No.
Makes no sense. But that it feels like the NBA's kind of swung around, and I do want to let's get away from the sports a little bit after I divulge this bit of knowledge. Feels like the NBA is starting to transition away from the high dollar guy. Like you have one or two high dollar guys, and then you build a team of guys that actually want to play with each other. And the basketball quality is like Bally Sports has totally ruined the NBA in Indiana. Yep. Now that that's going away, we'll be back. But it got to the point where the NBA was kind of hard to watch. You had three guys that were just so ball dominant, dribble, one-on-one, jack up a three. Watching the Pacers, I mean, this is Indiana. There's a lot of people that understand basketball. They appreciate good basketball. They appreciate shooting. Kids learn how to shoot when they're 2 years old. This team moves the ball. They have the most probably too unselfish star in the league. I don't know how you can not cheer for them. And they talk that trash.
They do talk that trash.
That's pulling on my heartstrings in another
way.
And
you've been talking that trash on that Twitter again.
Always. I stay talking trash on Twitter. Although Abby, I think Justin's Abby.
She did.
She stirs it up. I'm a little more pointed. I don't call anyone stupid or anything.
Let me just tell you that
she
learned about how terrible Knicks fans are, and it took her like 2 games for her to be like, I'm not dealing with this, and just mocking everyone.
I loved it.
It's amazing. I had to send Mitchell some tweets that she sent out. She's like, send this one to Mitchell. I was like, yeah, I got you. He's gonna love this.
I absolutely love it. Like, that's me and her thing. We're the talk trash on Twitter. Best friendship there ever was.
And I saw that she was dealing with some pet issues, and I don't know the extent of it. And people saying some really horrible things on, and again, people who don't have actual profile pictures. Yeah, it's always those people. I don't even really have words for it. It just pisses me off that people, because I know you've dealt with this too, Dustin. I've not dealt with it, but I've seen and heard stories from you, and you don't have to get into all of them or any of them if you don't want to. But people used to go at your dog. At least I know, remember a couple of years ago for you used to do picks. You used to have a bowl, 2 bowls for different teams. You'd do dog pick'ems with Biscuit, your dog. And if your dog wouldn't pick the team that that your people who followed you on Twitter followed, then they would lose their complete mind. And there were certain fan bases that were worse than others and would send death threats. Maybe, I don't know if it was to you or say that your dog should be put down. And that's not a joke, right? Somebody said that your dog needs to be put down because they didn't pick their team.
Not someone. I bet I got 24 DMs and messages. Like, I had to delete them right away. It's one of those things where I don't know if you guys ever get so mad that you just like, I just type stuff out. I had to delete the DMs as they were coming in because I was like, I will respond with something that will get me fired from my job, and I will never be able to do this professionally again. So I won't get into specifics as to what happened last week, but one of the features now with Twitter is that you can bookmark stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, why would anybody bookmark this? And I said, I remember when I had that situation with Biscuit, because somebody's going to pull it back and say something really hurtful, really mean. And
I can't.
That's what happened.
She's so good about like talking trash about sports. I feel like I've probably exaggerated my Twitter aggressiveness. I talk trash to teams, and somebody calls me fat or whatever. Okay, whatever. Talk like saying something real like that on Twitter, saying anything real online that aggressively. I don't understand. Like, where does that even come from? It's so scary that that's the world. Like, everything that I say is tongue in cheek, stupid. I'm laughing when I type it, and I'm hoping. And if you laugh too, then it's gonna be short, and we're both gonna laugh about it. And I'm gonna keep saying stupid stuff until you laugh with me.
Yeah.
But I can't even. get word. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And that's the thing. Like, it's always people who are hiding online. And I think part of recognizing this does kind of. Am I losing my connection? I started to bleep out for a second. I thought I was about to fall out of the
only
stream.
one with secure connection here.
It's a virus.
One thing,
I hope I don't pass it to you guys. It's the worst.
Yeah, imagine if we all just drop off and it's just, maybe we're being taken over by aliens or something. But anyway, it's one of those things where I feel like, at least for me, I honestly, I can't even really speak much on it. So I'll say this and move on. I feel like one thing that may make it easier for people to deal with is realizing that these people who say these types of things are, one, they're probably miserable human beings. Two, most of them are too cowardly to have their own profile photo on their account to show who they actually are. And on top of that, it's usually a name that's not even their real name. It's like, I don't know, Pacer fan, gold blue 2025. I don't know. Just saying something random. It's usually that kind of stuff.
Slime Talk called me fat yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was a chubby walk-on that never got to play. Now he's kind of right. Kind of.
That's not
Slime
true.
Talk, until the end. But I did, and you'll have to tell Abby this, I had some Husker fan, Nebraska fan, come to the rescue. Do we know who this person is?
Yeah, I do know who this person is. It was so funny because that guy is, so he runs a podcast that's a really big deal in the Nebraska community. Okay. And she's actually been part of that podcast before. She's done guest appearances on it.
Gotcha.
But the problem with him is sometimes he can be very snippy and like sarcastic and everything. So when he first posted that, I was about to come to your defense because I thought he was being like a dick to you. And then I had to look at I looked at the tweet. I had to isolate it. I was like, oh, no, wait. I think he's actually coming to Mitchell's defense.
My initial reaction was, all right, I got to fight this guy too.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we're friends.
Yeah. Imagine, this would be the equivalent of name dropping. Imagine if you took one of your highlight clips, like let's just say you took the highlight clip of your touchdown punt return against Michigan or something. That would work, obviously, ideally against a Michigan fan, but
I would never
did it against the Slime Talk guy.
That myself.
So what Rob did, Redcast Rob, I don't know his last name. What he did though was he was like, I got your back, Mitchell. Or he said something like, I got you, Mitchell. And then he posted a link to Mitchell's like IU profile.
Okay.
And in my head, for whatever reason, I thought he was like showing that Mitchell didn't play.
Which would have been hilarious. If he just showed the first 3 years, all time funny. It would have been,
I don't know why,
3 levels deep joke, and it would have been the best. And I would have laughed. I would have responded with, this is maybe the funniest tweet of all time. But instead, it was just all positive, made Slime Talk delete his tweet. And now I cannot wait for the Hoosiers to beat the Cornhuskers this year because I'm going to add him on Twitter and say, remember when you defended me? You shouldn't have. I can't wait.
Do you know? Okay, so this is gonna tie into something else that you texted me we needed to talk about tonight. So today we were talking, and I can't remember if this was today or last. Wait, I need to do John's math here. I can't remember if this was Sunday or Monday. This was released on a Wednesday, and I don't know when anybody's releasing this. But we were talking, and Abby said something to the effect of, we need to go to a game with Mitchell and Laura again. We just got to make sure it's not, or something along the lines of Indiana, Nebraska football. And I was like, well, we're going to that game in Bloomington this year. And I got to thinking, maybe we could all tailgate together, meet with our friend Jennifer. I've never met Jennifer. You were able to meet Jennifer, an avid listener and friend of the show, Mitchell.
The best.
And then I'll let you mention that you got to meet her today. But I was like, we should all tailgate together, but then also we're going to get tickets in complete opposite ends of the stadium.
I'm just going to be totally honest with you. When Abby and I are on the same side, butterflies, rainbows. You guys know I'm a bit of a psychopath about the Indiana football Hoosiers. I'm very unrealistic. I believe that there's no one better, even when they can't win. They can't even get a first down. And I'm aggressive. I'm loud. things just come out, they just come out,
Yep.
They fly. And I think she could handle it. She would I think what I'm mostly worried about is how well she would handle it.
She would throw it right back.
Right. I think that I would get stumped, and that's my worst fear. That's my worst fear. I don't need to be stumped 30 minutes before kickoff. You guys know I still have a pregame routine. I have to be feeling good for the team. If I get stumped in my own backyard walking into the facility, I mean, we're going to lose by 1,000. We just can't. We cannot have that happen. We can't. So I'm happy to be at the same tailgate.
Yes.
Yes. There.
We missed part of
I
that.
just go out. I went out again.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
though.
she has to stay over there. Stay over there. Enjoy your happiness. You have what you have. I have what I have. We'll high five going in. Good luck. I really like you for now, but don't push it.
Yeah, that could get violent.
Don't push it. I like that.
I'm curious.
Does really come to Indiana this year?
What's
yeah,
that?
they do. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
baby.
And we are planning on going, so that's why I said we should all get together.
My plans currently, I plan on being at the home opener, and that's not sure. It's like 90% sure. And that Nebraska game sounds like a great idea for sure.
It does. I apologize, John. I didn't mean to exclude you from that conversation.
Oh no!
Everybody
I
else
didn't
feel
except for
excluded.
I didn't feel excluded.
Yeah, we definitely should go to the game with Laura and Mitchell, and not.
Yeah, you didn't even say it. If you would have said that, then I would have felt excluded. I would have been like, "What the hell are we doing here?"
This is
I would have removed you from the show immediately, and that would have been it. I've been like, "Bye, Dustin." That would have been it. Goodbye.
Yeah, there we go. You could have you and Alicia come.
That's right.
And then Mitchell and Laura, Dustin and Abby. We'll have
and hopefully nobody is
crew
dead after the fact. After the game, everyone's in one.
Well, we're gonna sit in opposite areas of the stadium.
I'll have like a 3-month-old child, so I'll still have to act.
That's true.
I'll have to act like 40% mature. If
true.
I'm 60% mature most of the time, I still have to get that like 2/3 matureness. So it may be a little subdued, but
so Mitchell, you got to be a listener today.
I did. I met Jennifer, who is one of the most interactive listeners that we have.
Yes.
I love pulling up Twitter and seeing notifications from her. She's always got something awesome to say and makes me laugh. And I played in the IU Alumni Association, Evansville chapter, like fundraiser. I think it was for their scholarships. And she was checking everybody in, and all-time introduction, she said, "Hi, Mitchell. I'm Jennifer. I'm the Your Mom Joke girl on Twitter." I thought that was that's the best introduction.
Exactly. Yeah, that's flawless.
Exactly
right
who she was immediately. It was so good. It was just a fun day. Got to play with our good friend Jim Coyle.
Shout out to Jimmy C.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. We don't have to talk about this golf forever, but
yeah,
I will say Sultan's Run. Did you ever play that place, Dustin?
No.
Oh my goodness, I had never been down there. This is an 11 out of 10 golf course. It's beautiful. It's in perfect shape. I think it's decently cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go again. There's our little stutter. Xfinity, you better do this for free. The golf course is phenomenal, but I played with our guy Jim Coyle. He's probably going to talk about it on the radio tomorrow, so I don't feel like I'm ruining it. But
you mean yesterday?
Yesterday,
yeah.
On Tuesday. Today
he's
is
going
Monday
to talk about it yesterday. It's a great sentence.
He already talked about it yesterday. We were supposed to have a 4-man scramble team, and I've mentioned that I enjoy golf. I've been practicing. My game is in a good place, and 2 people for our team did not show up. So Jim got to hit twice. I also got to hit twice for our team. So we played 18 holes and we won by like 7 shots.
So so earlier you mentioned, we were briefly talking about this before the show, you mentioned that you kind of cheated. Is that because you got to be yourself twice?
Yeah. I mean, on every putt. So I just got to smash driver twice, which is the best club in my bag. And we're playing from too close. So I just hit it up by the green every time, chip it up there, and we had 10-footers all day. Jim actually made some putts. He made a big one. I drove the green, and he made like a 40-footer for eagle. It was sick. Up and over some hills. It was awesome. But all day, I got to watch him putt twice. And then I got to putt once off of those reeds. And then I also got a 4th putt.
Ooh.
It was not fair. It was not fair. So no one really complained. And if you're listening and now you're mad, I'm sorry.
Shut up.
I tried to tell them that it didn't feel right. But when we had a chance to see that, we actually left some shots. We played good. And that course is so fun. I mean, if you get into golf, John, I'll meet you there any second.
We've got to have, again, one thing that'd be a great sort of, we all hung out at the Top Golf. I'm not good at it. I'll say I've been to Top Golf twice. I did see drastic improvement from time 1 to time 2. So I know that there's hope.
That the jump from shooting 150 to 130 or 110 is not very hard. Like you can manage the golf ball into shooting 110 pretty easily with some help.
That's probably what reels you in. You're like, okay, this isn't so bad. And then you start to get confident in yourself. And then you start to set expectations for yourself.
Right.
But then you realize you're not as good as you think you are. And then that's the vicious cycle of realizing
golf
you just
is
kind
the
of suck
worst.
at golf.
That's why golf's the worst. If you have someone that can kind of coach you, if you can get the ball in the air, like I can coach you to about 100, 110 pretty easily. I think I cut out again. I can coach you to 100 to 110. 100 to 90 a little harder, but then your expectations reset. You shoot 90 once, now you got to shoot 90 every time.
Yeah.
Then you got to shoot 80. And like where I'm at, if I hit a bad shot and make a double bogey, now I'm just scrambling. Now it's like the worst round of the year. I don't know and obviously it's not. I make a lot of double bogeys. I shoot a lot of scores over par, but it's the worst. So yeah, you're exactly right. Your expectations seems like you're getting so much better. And the vicious cycle is you're just never happy with it. Like I've played some really good golf over the past couple weeks, and all I think about is the putts that I missed or the wedges that I should have hit. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. It's very frustrating.
I've got a quick tale to tell, and it's more of just a couple of things. So this past weekend, I drove up to Cincinnati to hang out with some friends from college that I hadn't seen in quite some time. One of them is my friend Elijah Butler, who's been on this show before.
The man.
And that's right. And then there was a few others that I was hanging out with that I may introduce on this show eventually, if I can find a reason to have them on.
This is just going to be this John's Circle of Friendship podcast.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Thank you for being a friend.
We need to get Xander Diamant on. We'll eventually bring Nate Sudfeld on. I've thought about that before. Dustin, we've got to get your masked friends on that call the show that we don't know their true identity.
Yeah, they will never know their identities.
Honestly, it'd be better if they had their camera and actually wore a mask.
I mean, like not about to rob a bank.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was up in Cincinnati hanging out with some friends. So my friend Caleb, he was the one who hosted us. The reason we were up there, he was burning his deck. And obviously when you think of that initially, you're like, how in the world are you doing that? Are you just going to grab some gasoline and set the entire deck on fire? No, there's a lot more to it and a lot safer way to do it. That wasn't my
thought at all.
Well, that's what an idiot like me initially thought.
Okay,
before
good.
I found out what we were actually doing.
I thought you were going to say that's what an idiot would think. As I was sitting over here like, yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking.
But he had cut up his deck into a bunch of pieces and burned it. And it was also treated wood, which myself and my friend got told plenty of times that apparently that is very unsafe to do for chemicals. But you know what? It's been a few days, and so far I'm fine. Maybe down the line it's a reason for I don't know, cancer. I don't know. Hopefully not. But
that's a big jump.
Apparently, PSA, don't burn treated deck wood.
Yeah.
Apparently it's dangerous.
I was thinking maybe like a head cold or something, but straight to the C word.
Well, see, that's why I kind of hesitate. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say this, but here's the thing. Here's the reason I did say it. It's because everybody always, I feel like whenever it's something that is unsafe, people are always like, oh, it's going to give you cancer. It's going to give you cancer. I feel like that's just the default when something is dangerous, is that it's going to give you cancer down the line.
I mean, to be fair, anything with cancer or chemicals, yeah, that's probably leading to something bad. Yeah.
Do you know, I think about this a lot because I watch a lot of old movies and I'm into old actors. I mean, the way they made smoking look so cool. Like, your teachers in high school be like, you don't look cool if you smoke. But those guys did.
Wrong.
No,
Smoking
I think they look
sick.
cool. I think they look so
When
cool.
I was in high school, that's when vaping
to
really
teachers,
took
like,
off.
oh, yeah, they didn't look sick. Look at every picture from the 70s or 60s. They look awesome with their slick back hair and leather jackets and just the most.
They also all look extremely underweight. That's another thing too.
Yeah, I need to get on that plan. Okay. Yeah, no. I'm kind of interested in their diet.
Oh man. Anyway,
it was a pound of bacon for breakfast. Wait, have you guys seen Grumpy Old Men or Grumpier Old Men? I can't remember which one it's from.
No, I assume this is a movie from the 80s or 60s. Or
it's the 80s or early 90s, but he says something along the lines of, I have a pound of bacon for breakfast, I smoke my lunch, and I drink my dinner, or something along those lines.
I love it. Yeah, that's it. Ooh, this is big for me. I have to tell you what just happened.
Okay.
This is breaking news. So I've got a YouTube guy that I love to watch.
Okay.
And I commented on I'm like a little middle school girl right now. I commented on one of his videos today, and he responded to it just now.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know.
What'd you comment, and what did he comment back, or is it even relevant?
I haven't even looked at it. I commented. So he's an Australian guy, and when stuff goes bad, he says some of the funniest stuff ever. Like, this is so stupid when I say it without context, but in an Australian accent, he says like a seagull. He's all over him like a seagull on a hot chip or something. And the way he says it with his accent makes me laugh every time. And he also says some other things that are a little less appropriate for this podcast because they're pretty vulgar, but they crack me up. And I commented on his video today that the one-liners are undefeated. And he commented back, I can't wait to see what it says. Hopefully he doesn't say shut up or something. That would destroy me. I'm 30 years old. I'm like, I don't want to even read the comment now. I've talked myself out of it.
No, you'll read it after the show. You'll be excited. You'll be giddy, and you're going to go watch a million of his videos, and you won't be able to sleep tonight. That's what's.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I did drink some. I broke my streak. Are you guys energy drink consumers?
No, I'm intrigued by them, but I always feel like that's just not a good idea.
You're intrigued by them?
I'm intrigued by there's so many of them, and there's a lot of people who have a energy drink of choice, but I know that they're not good for me, I guess.
I just imagine you like standing there, like scratching your chin, scratchy chin emoji.
Oh, that's me. Honestly, sometimes you may see me doing something similar on this podcast. I'll sit here and just have my hands up here like this when I'm thinking or looking. But I used to do that with 5-hour energy. I've never had a 5-hour energy, but I've looked at them and I'm like, these things are so small. And I hear that they make your heart race like an engine at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Indy. Shout out to the Indy 500 going on this weekend, by the way. It's just.
I just imagine that scene in Tommy Boy when he's just shaking 1,000,000 miles an hour at the restaurant. But I used to drink a lot of Red Bull. I had Red Bull, I don't know, in my 30s, and it hit a lot different where to the point where like I could feel my heart pounding and like could hear it. So I will have like a few sips of an energy drink, but like drinking an entire Monster is out of the question for me.
Okay. So you've been a consumer.
Yes.
First of all, credit to you for drinking Red Bull by itself. Red Bull vodka was my choice. Talk about the worst possible concoction for a human body. That's the one right there. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you could mix all the alcohols and it would be better for you than a Red Bull and vodka.
I mixed alcohol this weekend. That's part of the story I'm going to finish telling in a minute.
Oh, we've cut you off so bad.
But it's okay. I was going to let you finish. I'm keeping it in mind.
We have cut you off so bad. I was only going to say I had to get an energy drink today. I haven't drank one in like a month. I used to be full on addicted. COVID, I think I got AFib in COVID because I drank so many.
AFib.
I'm telling you. I don't know if you can heal from that because I don't have it anymore, but I'd get like stutters.
On our radio station, I hear commercials for AFib all the time, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is always the one who voices them, and it makes me think that AFib is for people who are in their 60s or 70s.
I don't know. I know AFib is a lot more common than you think, and it's something to monitor. That's
if
all
you're
I know.
60 or 70 and you're listening to the show or watching it, shout out to the fact that you don't have AFib.
Yeah, or if you do, just monitor it.
Yeah,
do some exercise.
Monitor it, I guess.
I don't really know. I'm not a doctor. I literally know nothing about like how you're supposed to heal it. I don't know. Like maybe just like punch your chest. I have no clue. I am. I tried to be a doctor.
Did you now?
Yeah, I was actually in Bloomington today, where as a young and spry freshman, going pre-med, thinking
that's ambitious.
Yeah, as a football player, I didn't even look at when the labs were. They're all 8 to 11 in the morning. Football practice at 7:30. Oh, there's stutter.
Imagine saying
This
paging Dr. Page, though.
It would have been sick. But I drove by the building today, the mathematics building. I can't even remember what it's called. I didn't spend a lot of time in there because I had to drop the class. I took Calculus 2, first test.
Wow.
And this is going to expose me for being pretty dumb here momentarily. Calc 2. I took Calculus 2 because it fit the practice schedule a little better. I never took Calculus in high school. Calculus regular was at 12:20, which I would have had to rush from practice. Calculus 2 was at 1:10, so I did not have to rush from practice. So I went to every class. She started, first of all, she didn't speak the best English. And she started the class with, so going off of what you learned in Calc 1, we're just going to build off of those basics, which is a big problem. It's a big problem. Big problem. So we get the first test. 50 questions. 50. 5-0. This is like a statistical anomaly. 50 questions, 6 answer choices for each question. I have no clue what any of the answers are. What do you think I got on that test? First test I ever got in college. First test.
80%.
I was going to say like a 0. You said this is going to make you look really stupid. So
yeah, John nailed it. I got 0 of them right. The teacher called me up and said, I don't even know how you did this, but you should probably drop the class. So I went straight to advisor and changed my major to communications.
I am incredibly confused as to how were you able to sign up for Calc 2? First of all,
I crushed that placement test, dude.
Is that what it was?
Yes. I guessed way better on the placement test than I did on the actual test. Like, I think way better.
So the highest level of math I took in high school was I didn't even finish pre-cal. So what, algebra 2 maybe? I don't know. I don't know math. I was like trying to get questions wrong so I could take the lowest level of math possible in college.
I did take pre-calc in high school, but I should have paid way more attention. I've used way like 4 times already this show. I think that's.
But that's crazy though. The fact that you got a 0, you have to do what?
A 0%.
Yeah, like you have to try. You almost have to try to get that.
You had to have known some of these answers and missed it on purpose. And I said, lady, I did not. I can assure you. Do you see how there is no work on any question and I finished in 5 minutes?
Is this blonde-haired Mitchell Page too, by the way?
What's that?
Was this blonde hair Mitchell Page doing this, by the way?
No, blonde hair Mitchell Page had already been stutter. Blonde hair Mitchell Page had already been in communications for a long time. He was very confident in his classes. Very confident.
Well, I'm going to get into this alcohol mixing part of the story before. It was crazy. I was originally thinking about starting the show with this, but we've just been off the rails the whole time. But that's okay though. I like when the conversation just flows magically, as they say. Anyway, so
I hated that.
You hated that? You hated what I just did?
Cut that from the show.
Why?
I think that we lost listeners from that. What was that?
That was an impression.
You
know who it was of?
And you went back.
Do you know who it was an impression of?
Andy Bernard from The Office.
No, that's actually that'd be a good guess though. It's not bad.
That was awesome. I'm
It was
totally
Joe
kidding.
Rogan.
It was Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never actually listened to Joe Rogan.
I don't either, but there's a clip he does with Theo Vaughn, and I love Theo Vaughn where he says that.
He's
and
so
I
good.
it just sticks in my head sometimes.
That's so funny. I'm gonna see how long I can get you derailed off of telling the alcohol mixer.
I know. I think you're doing a fantastic job of doing that. Anyway,
so it's a cliffhanger for the next episode.
I know now I'm in my own head. So anyway,
he's just gonna
the
start
mixing of
like
drinks.
that
I'm up in Cincinnati, right, with some friends. Talked about the deck burning already, and one of our friends who's up there, or it's my friend's wife, and I guess she's just our friend too. But she comes up and she's like, "Okay, we're gonna do a bartending." I'm gonna keep talking over you because I'm gonna get off topic the more that you say things. I'm gonna keep going.
Good try.
I'm just gonna keep going.
Effort.
But our friend comes up to me and comes up to everybody, and she's like, "All right, we're gonna start this bartending contest, and we need some judges and we need some mixers." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to be a judge because I have to drive home tonight, and honestly, I'm probably not gonna like any of this, even if I wanted to try it." And so I'm like, you know what? I know absolutely diddly squat about alcohol other than, beer. And I don't even drink beer that often. I just know that most people drink beer. But I was like, you know what?
Drink alcohol without telling me by what you just said. I don't really know anything about alcohol except beer.
Yeah. I know like the different kinds of alcohol, but I don't really know like what pairs well with them. I don't really know how to mix them together. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just go for this and see what happens. And the only rule was that you had to include Fireball in the concoction. And so I start off the drink with Fireball. I mix maybe 6 or 7 different things with it. And then I topped it all off with Fireball. And I named the drink I Can't Believe It's Not Fireball because we had to give it a name. And it got 7th place out of 8 people, which is not good. But you know what? It's not last place.
What?
Last place was actually the person who was hosting the party. So shout out to him.
What all did you put in this? Do you even remember?
I know I can remember a few things. I know I put some wine that was on the table in there. I know I put a little bit of vodka in there. I know I put some RC Cola in there for color.
This is the worst start ever.
I know I put a little bit of Sprite in there.
Interesting.
And I think I put some lime juice in there as well. And there may be some things I'm missing, but I know everything that I named all sandwiched between the 2 doses of Fireball was in there.
Mitchell will know this. This sounds like a terrible version of an AMF.
Ooh, talk dirty to me.
You remember? I assume you know what that is.
How could I forget?
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know what the heck you're talking about. What's an AMF?
I can't say what it stands for, but it's the blue drink.
It's the blue drink at upstairs, right?
What's that?
Upstairs, right?
It's all over the place, but upstairs kind of made it famous. Yeah, we would.
I remember my my acquaintance went to IU, and he was like, "I got to take you to this place. We'll go get an AMF, or we'll go get AMFs." And so we ordered it, and I just remember the bartender like 6 bottles of alcohol in between their fingers, just all in one cup.
Stunning.
Amazing.
And they're in pitchers. They're not in cups. They come in these big pitchers.
Ours were in cups. They did it like individually. This was before your time, of course, back in the old days.
If you went next door to Kilroy's, they did them in pitchers. Like the water pitchers, clear water pitchers that you would have. Yeah. And they were for one person. That's what you would order an AMF, and that is the container that they would give you.
That's what they do at downtown, except it's not an AMF. They're a variety of Long Island iced teas at the Kilroy's downtown.
Exactly. This is I don't drink hardly ever. But I heard of a new drink. Now that we're talking about this, it's a little summer drink. Speaking of Fireball, sometimes simplicity can be king, John. Okay. You add too many things into it. I'm not gonna lie, you're sounding like an eighth place out of 8 kind of drink.
Honestly, I don't know what the person who got 8th place added, but I do know their goal was to make somebody throw up. So.
Yeah, your name got you 7th. The name is phenomenal.
Probably.
I can't believe it's not Fireball. No. It almost maybe should have got you 6th. The name is a 10 out of 10. Drink 0 out of 10. Name 10. But lemonade, up like 4/5 of the way, and then 2 of the little fireball shooters just right on top. Swirl it all up. And it's
Is there a name
simple.
for that?
Yeah, it does have a name. It's like Dragonade or something because they got the little
Okay, that makes sense.
fireball guys. Yeah.
I'll give you a recommendation, John. If you ever want to have a drink in the fall around your fireplace because you got a nice backyard.
That's right. Yeah.
Assuming your fire pit is still not gasoline alley.
Yep, we're still cooking.
Fireball, get some sparkling apple cider, a little lemon juice, load it up with ice, cut you an apple slice, tastes just like apple pie.
See, I hate to say this, but I feel like EJ's about to call you and take your man card away from you for just saying that, if he's listening.
Okay, I drink.
That was a manly drink, dude. That was a manly.
But I heard the apple pie though, and all I'm thinking is, EJ, don't say anything mean to Dustin, please.
Don't egg him on. This is for you, someone who doesn't drink. But if you want something that's delicious, Fireball, apple cider, a little lemon juice, fantastic.
One drink I've always wanted to try, and it's because, and this is honestly probably a pansy drink.
I'm an adult. Yeah.
Is a 7 and 7, and it's because a character I like in a show ordered it, and it looked really good for whatever reason. And I was like, that sounds pretty good, and I've never had any reason or opportunity to order it. I don't know if you know what that is or if it's even good, but
I've done the same. I don't know what that drink is, and I don't know what show it is, but I've done the same thing with the Big Lebowski. White Russians.
Okay.
Yep. He only drinks White Russians. I think it's White Russians. I'm like 99% sure. I hate them. They're terrible. But sometimes if I'm feeling wild and feeling like the dude, I'll order that. This is an interesting topic. We haven't talked about it. None of us are really big alcohol consumers. But now all of a sudden, John becomes a mixologist. Out of nowhere.
Well, here, let me. I'll say this: like, I like, I kind of like the taste of beer. I've learned, but here's the thing: when I drink it, I don't really like to drink traditional beer. I also don't like to drink IPAs. What I like, and again, take my man card away, EJ, because honestly, if Dustin's has been revoked, mine should have been revoked eons before.
Yeah, Dustin is the manliest man of all of us.
I like non-alcoholic beer. Like the 0.5% alcohol beers.
For what?
Wait. Yeah.
Because they taste, it just tastes like beer without being alcohol, without the alcohol, if that makes sense.
Okay, wait. Can you run this entire thing by me again?
So there is such a thing. Maybe you've never heard of it. Because honestly, I hadn't heard of this. Have you heard of this?
I have heard of non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
I know what that's about. Did you say that you like the taste of beer, but you don't like the taste of beer? I feel like
I like the taste of beer when you can't taste the alcohol. So what I've learned is that I like the taste of beer when it's not strong, and if that makes any sense at all. And maybe it doesn't.
It doesn't, because most beer is like 4.2% alcohol.
But give me that 0.5%, baby. It'll feel like I'm just drinking the wheat.
You just like Coors Light. A little Coors Light.
As Dustin loses his...
I mean, that's one of the most preposterous things I've ever heard in my life. I'm pretty sure they make those non-alcoholic beers singularly for pregnant women. Like, that's it. Laura, drink.
See, and that's it right there. I think I need to write up my own man card. I'm gonna show it on screen and rip it up just so I never have to hear from EJ and just be like, it's all right. You don't have to call. It's fine.
I bet actually, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I bet there's a bunch of people that drink those. Maybe if they have like had a alcohol problem, but they like the taste.
Yep.
And that's not me. I just want to clarify, but
no,
that makes a lot of sense.
Or maybe some people just don't want to be drunk, but they like to drink all the calories for no reason.
And that's me. So I love carbonation. I love to drink things that aren't good for me, but I do not like, and not that I ever have even been this way, but I'm afraid of being intoxicated, and I never have been. But I like, again, the taste of beer, the taste of the wheat. Man, you're not getting me wrecked.
That college football Saturday.
We're not getting wrecked. I'm going to show up with my 0.5%, and you'll wonder. I'll drink like 7 of them, and then I've never done that. But if I drank 7 of them, you'll be like, people who won't know what I'm drinking, they'll be like, "Man, what are you doing? Like, you were really handling those
You'll be
beers pretty
so
well."
bloated if you do that.
I'll probably puke from just being bloated. Is what it'll be.
100%. That's so many carbs and calories. That's like the worst pot. The only reason that people drink beer is because they want to be drunk. If you don't want to be drunk,
that's
all you're
true.
doing is getting fat. That's literally it.
Well, that's actually kind of true, but I don't drink enough to get fat. I've never in one day, and this is in a social situation, I've never had more than 3 beers in a 24-hour period.
That's awesome. I'm jealous.
And that's not a brag. Most of this is just because it's my nature.
I just think shotgun beers.
Okay,
at like a horrendous rate. 5
I
a
don't.
hole.
But you guys don't. Okay, so I mean, I guess John would be out on this one, but you don't just like. I think beer and wings taste like that's a good tasting combination. So I won't go to the bar to get drunk. I'm like that. It's really good with wings, so I'll order a beer. Like sometimes I'll just have a beer with dinner.
But it's got the alcohol. You get a little feel good, a little buzz.
I mean,
it makes
fair,
the wings taste better. Yeah, I agree. The combination of I mean, you're not drunk, but a little lift with the wings, and sports. It's the whole deal.
Fair. That's fair.
I did not expect this to be a part of our list of things today, but it's been interesting nonetheless.
I like it. Like
I
can't imagine going to B-Dubs and ordering a Heineken Zero. That's just they would throw the thing at you. They'd hit you with the bottle.
Hank the Buffalo would actually box you out of the Buffalo Wild Wings.
I'm telling you, he would hate that. You see how big he is too? He's stomped right on you.
I think what we need to do is not inspire, but we should what's that word? Call to action. Call to action our listeners to tell us their favorite cocktail recipe. Share your favorite cocktail recipes.
Yep. And as many as we get, John's going to drink all of them before the
Imagine if
game.
the punishment wheel for town names was that I had to drink one of their suggestions.
This should be a punishment. Is if Mitchell and I get them all right, you have to get the ingredients for a recommended drink.
That's an expensive punishment.
Well, we can
make it work somehow.
I'm not giving him anything. I'm putting it on the record. I'm not paying for any of that.
No, I'm not paying for it either.
It is expensive.
I can keep the cost. I can keep the cost. You can go and get like those little mini bottles for like $2.
Facts. Have you ever been in a liquor store?
Yes. I'm not that sheltered. I want to clarify that. Like again, that's like I'm familiar with all the alcohols. I've been around people who drink. And again, this is not a shot at my family. Like they all drink socially. None of them are stupid with their alcohol. Like it's one of those things. Like for me, and we'll wrap this thing up here in just a minute. But like I know how to have fun without drinking. Like I don't need a buzz.
You think you're better than
I
us?
think we said this on the show a few weeks ago, and maybe it was just me and Mitchell at the time. I can't remember if all three of us.
Oh, you're bringing it back
up,
dude. You want to brag about it again? That's crazy.
But this is. Like sometimes whenever you're not drunk, but you're around people who are, you just kind of, it's like secondhand drunkenness. You just kind of jump onto it, you know?
You were talking about this. I don't get that.
I hate being that person.
If you're not drunk around a bunch of drunk idiots, you need to leave that place immediately.
You can be the most sober person, and that's okay. Like that's still fun. But if you're not drinking at all, I will do it because people do it for me. So I return the favor. But there is nothing worse.
I gotta say, this is one last story, and then I promise I'm gonna wrap this up. So on my stepbrother's 21st birthday, he's a few years older than I am. I don't know if I've mentioned him many times before on this show, but I was tasked with picking him and his friends up after his night of going out on the town and that kind of thing. And I picked them up in my parents' van at one of the houses that they were at. Wow. And there's 3 or 4 people who get into this van and they're all holding empty trash bags, and they all sit down in their seats. They shut the doors, and it's not all simultaneous, but you can kind of probably tell where I'm going, and I'll try to be as discreet about this as I can. But it was a very, what's the best word to describe this?
Unpleasant.
I guess there was a lot of unpleasantness in this vehicle, and I don't think I would have the stomach for it now if I did the same thing today that I did. I guess it would have been maybe 8 years ago that I did this. But, you know, when you got a bunch of people who have been, you know, they're not used to holding in their alcohol, as they might say, and they're finishing up a long night out on the town. It was interesting taking all these people back to their places of rest. And you know, it was honestly kind of funny from my point of view, but I wouldn't want to do it again. I'll say that.
Yeah. As a young man, that's funny. Me now, I would take them to jail. Like, you get in my car, you do that, you're going to jail. I'm dropping you off at the front. I'm not even waiting for them to arrest you. I'm dropping you off. I'm leaving. Because that's nasty.
Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Shout out to my stepbrother Hunter and
I bet they had
that excursion. I'm sure they
This
did.
is my last little bit. We were driving on Meridian the other day, which is it's a highway.
Yep.
And there's a group of girls driving next to us, and one girl, this is on Sunday, so they had a long night the night before. Girl hanging her head out the window.
Ooh.
Letting it go.
Ooh.
Can you imagine how bad of shape you have to be in for that?
Pretty
to
rough.
just be like, we have to do it. We can't. And the driver's like, no, we can't stop. Just do it. All over the car. Just gross.
Oh my gosh.
That's a good way to end. You're welcome. You're welcome, listeners.
That's right. If you made it all the way to the 1 hour and 1 minute mark, we salute you. Thanks as always for.
Yeah, no way there's anyone listening to this at this point.
Yeah, this is except for Jennifer. We know she's the most loyal listener we have.
True, and Grandma. I love you, Grandma.
And everybody. We have a lot of loyal listeners, but we just met that, or at least you met that one today.
I did.
So
she's the best.
Shout out to everybody for sticking around with us. Yeah, it's always fun, and you never know what we're gonna get into on days like this. So we'll talk to you next week for Dustin Mitchell and his glitchy Wi-Fi. This has been another episode of Out of Touch, and we'll talk to you next week.